you've been around Over the Line for any length of time, you know that Mike Curran is the godfather of OTL, and he passed away recently. Everything about this tournament, everything we do, he's directly responsible for. He passed away recently. This is his memorial here. It's Friday before the first Saturday of the 70th annual World Champion Over the Line tournament. And this is just a few people that turned out for Mike Curran.
First, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I want to introduce our retired Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Neil O'Connell, who is going to do our colors. Thank you, Lefty. All right, on back. OTL, you know the drill. Hats off. Take them off. Put your hand over your heart. How about you guys out back there? You can hear me. Let's get with the program. All right.
I'm a Marine.
Semper Fi, Mike Curran. God bless. Color detail. Colors. Present.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Lefty, back to you, my friend. You knew this day was coming? He outlived a lot of people, but we get a little choked up on this one, but he's pissed that we're doing this. I know that for sure. He's already threatened me before he left, but he's not here, so fine. But Mike always tell people, I'm not going to your funeral or celebration of life because you're not coming to mine because I'm not having one. Well, we got him. Yeah, we got him. So honored to put this together. Family's going to speak. We're going to have a toast. We're going to give him a salute. But the most important, remember there was only one Mike Curran. And that's the sad story, because he was all of our hero. He led by example. He made us feel great all the time we saw him, and it wasn't bullshit. And in the words of Mike Curran, he would say, "Tell a sap thank you," and he was good at that. So I'm going to start off with Amy Curran, his daughter. Would like to say a few words. Amy.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah. As Lefty said, I'm Mike's daughter, Amy. I have a script, so in case I just lose it a little bit, sorry. When I was in high school, my dad said to me, he said, Amy, when it comes time for you to get married, just make sure you don't do it on an OTL weekend because I won't be there. My brother Jamie and I, we were part of the Over the Line tournament back events since we were really young. And the farthest back I can remember, it was about 1965. And when the tournament was held on the ocean side in South Mission, and back then it seemed like all the team names were clean. It was a family affair with no BBBB restrictions. There were bikes, bottles, babies, and Bowsers all over the beach. And booze, there was lots of it. And in the afternoons, we'd watch as the paddy wagon would roll down the beach and pick up the drunks and the belligerents, or the dog catcher would pick up a stray dog or two. And at that time, the bracket board consisted of hand-drafted brackets stapled to a piece of plywood propped up on the sand, and my dad monitored it, perched up on a wood ladder. Then OTL moved to Mariners Point as OTL team numbers expanded, ushering in women and aging players, and the women's with the women's and the century divisions. There was only one hot dog stand, managed by Grant Simpkins and Chuck Millenbaugh, and staffed by on-back members' kids, including myself, with payment of all the hot dogs and the Cokes one could consume in a single day. Then once the tournament expanded further and moved to Fiesta Island, my dad's beloved bracket board earned a permanent presence built of steel with concrete footings here in Fiesta Island, a place where he tirelessly but happily staffed every year. My brother, Jamie, often called him the camel because he could go most of the day without food or water. But if he had a BC in his hand, he was good to go. And in middle school, I played and won the junior OTL when we were sponsored by my Uncle Terry's restaurant in Pacific Beach. We were the Molly McGuire's. And then when I, when I got older and graduated to the quote big tournament, my dad would most often schedule my team to play on the court right there, court 21, which was horrifying and terrifying for me, because masses of people would crowd around the court, and not because they wanted to see my team, but because that's where most of the action was happening. But for my dad, it allowed him to not only man the bracket board, but at the same time watch his daughter play. And I think some of his favorite times of the year, besides the actual tournament, and perhaps opening day at the racetrack, were before the internet, when OTL signups were at the Comer, which was basically a day-long party, and also evenings spent working up the bracket boards at his or Ron LaPolice's house. So I could go on all night and all day with my current stories, but what I want to close with is acknowledging OMBAC, OTL, and all the camaraderie that goes along with it. Which brought my dad a long, long lifetime of joy and laughter, and a legacy I know he was proud of, and that I'm certainly proud of too. Thank you to all the OMBAC members, family, and friends who enriched his life over the many years. Cheers to my dad.
I'm Terry Curren, the youngest of three brothers. Until over a 3-week period, I was his only child. I'd like to introduce some of the rest of the family here. Jamie, Mike's son, my daughter Julie, my granddaughter Sarah, my son David, and you know Duffy, she'll be up here in a moment. I want to go back to some of the basics, how we happen to be here. I don't know. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. I don't know if you really know where Old Mission Beach was and where we started. So I'm going to give you a brief history lesson. We started at the beach, what we called Old Mission Beach. Play beaches didn't want our guys to play, so they created a rule that says only players from an athletic club can join in. No problem. The birth of Ombak, Mike made it happen. Since we only had one single volleyball court at Old Mission, there was a lot of downtime waiting to play. As a diversion, Overline was created. We played on the shoreline with wet shiny sand as one sideline and a few beer cans on the other. Of course, our measurements were very precise, using Ronlopolis as our measuring device. The first tournament was 1954, with about 8 teams on the 4th of July weekend, 2 courts. Mike made it happen. I was a lifeguard at Old Mission Beach on tournament day, 1956. I got a call from the captain of the lifeguards. He was upset because he had a call claiming we were playing baseball on the beach. And I assured him, no, Captain, no one's playing baseball on my beach. And the tournament continued. Well, condo development signaled the end of Old Mission, and Ombak never faded away. Mike held it together. For 70 years, the tournament has gone on, and Mike made it happen.
Amen.
Good work, brother. Yes, thanks, Jerry. Okay. We're going to have a little treat. Are you guys ready? This is OTL's Mariachi Band.
They have come up with a song for Mike. And you know it's going to be great. I've already heard it. Yes, Mike.
As you folks know, Los Mariachis de Otiello used to be Los Mariachis de Otiello y Cuervo, Los Mariachis de Margaritaville, and anybody else who will give us free tequila. However, as you will notice, we were not professional musicians. However, Mike Curren was probably the biggest supporters of the mariachis. When we came out and wanted to do weird stuff, he would play our songs over the headphones and all that. It was absolutely awesome. So, a couple of weeks ago, well, actually back in January, I read Helen's tribute to Mike in the newspaper, and I was so inspired that I wrote a song under the influence of alcohol. And my teammates helped me. It's a team effort on this. I hope you guys can understand the words, because the words really fit Mike. We've only done this song twice. We're going to probably screw up the words. Hold on. This is what the mariachis do. All right, you know what we're going to do? We recorded it last night. We got some really cool Jimmy Buffett Miranda shit. But unfortunately, we don't know anything about computers or anything like that. So we're just going to do it a cappella. Well, I'm going to strum a few chords, okay? All right. Woo! All right. Try to listen to the words. It's in the summertime, in July, it's all about over the line. But this year's a little bit different, you see, 'cause we lost a big piece of our history. We can still see him standing on the bracket board, Bacardi and Coke in his hand, no lime, taking a sip and looking real hip. An original Ombak man, an original Ombak man. And there was nobody quite like Mike, nobody quite like Yell.
Fine and true, and everyone knew he loved on-back rugby as well. There was nobody quite like Mike. Some things won't ever change. But we all know that Beachcomber Joe has a bar stool in Mike's name. Nobody quite like Mike. Nobody quite like Mike. Through and through, red, white, and blue, there was nobody quite like Mike. There was nobody quite like Mike. There was nobody quite like Mike.
Thank you, men. Amazing. Okay. Everybody knows what Mike Curren thought of Overline. Well, I think his second love was the track. And he knew the track. Trust me. He knew the horses and did well, and he was amazing. I got J.D. Dahlin here, owner of Bullies East and Old Town Mex. Longtime horse racing buddy of Mike. And J.D. can't tell you all the stories, but he can say some nice things about Mike. Well, first of all, thank you everybody for being here. And I know everybody's drinking rum and coke, because that's what Mike will be drinking. And when Terry started talking about OTL, and when I first got involved, I'm a little younger than Terry and the boys. And so when I got to the beach in 1958, South Mission Beach, the Currens were there, and everybody was moving down from the North Mission. And when Terry said there was tin cans making lines, well, we had seaweed making lines. So we were a little better than they were up in the northern part. But Mike always wanted to play cards. Not just the horses, play cards. And he would play Fan-Tan on the beach. And so here I am, fresh out of the service, figuring I can gamble a little bit with the big boys. And so I get in a few card games, and I could do quite well with some of the people. But then at the end of the day, Mike read me like a book. And so at the end of the day, I reach in my pocket, there's nothing there. And Mike has this little saying, "Thank you, chump." And he said it quite a few times to me at different times. We're at the racetrack, and we're all betting on one horse. We love the horse. Everybody loved the horse. And it just gets necked out. And Mike looks over at us. I said, "Mike, what'd you bet on?" He goes, "The winner." "Thank you, chumps." And I heard that quite frequently from Mike. And so over the years, now this is the first year in about 40 years that Mike won't be with us at the racetrack. But he will be with us. We have Jamie and Terry will be with us. And I know that I'm going to be beat out by one of these damn Currens on the horse that I bet on. Because that luck that he has, he was skilled, very skilled at the racetrack. He used to go down to Caliente. And when they had their horses down there, he'd gamble there, and then come up Del Mar and gamble there. And he did quite well. But over the years, I got to know Mike. And like I said, since 1958, I walked in the Beachcomber in the early days, and there was a little problem. I didn't know the local guys very well, and there was a problem going on at the pool table. And so I decided to help him a little bit, and I took a gentleman outside, had a discussion, and came back inside, and I got from Mike, "Thank you, chump." So I had a lot of thank you chumps from him over the years, and so my last saying is, "Mike, thank you, chump." Thanks, JD. Okay, we're getting close. We got the lovely Helen Duffy. Duffy knows Curren better than any of us.
Well, or as my dear friend Jaybird would say, Well, 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 buddy boy. I have to thank the gentleman of Ombach, Mike's real family. We get to stand up here, but we saw him less than anyone ever. Ombach was his life, and Over the Line was his life. He would be pissed as hell, you know, to see you all. He always said, I hate that shit, and you know what? You can't do it over my dead body. And I'd go, well, that's normally how it's done, dude. I don't know why you're unclear on that concept. But it's kind of a hard price to pay to finally get a final word from Mike Curran, you know? This is such a great thing to see all of his friends, all of my friends, all of his family, all of my family, all the people who want to be friends, all the people who just want to make sure the sucker is really gone. Trust me, he's not coming back, and if he does, we're in deep shit. When I look at all of you, I think how many of you I have met through Over the Line, watching games, playing games, being silly, being athletic, being outdoors. That was Mike. He was full of life, and if it was at the beach and something was happening, he was going to be in the middle of it. And he got to know people more and more each time you came out. And so we went through romances, marriages, divorces, more romances, marriages, divorces. We went through so many happy times together, but because of our friendships, our beach friendships, our over the line friendships, we were also there for each other during harder times when we lost homes, jobs, parents, children, siblings, spouses. It was the measure of true friendship, and that's what God gave to Mike. That's what God gave to us. It's up to us now to push it forward, to keep it going. And for that, let me thank you. And to Mike, let's tell the sap thanks. And before, Lefty likes to have the last word, but I'll let him. I just want you to know that usually when the fat lady sings, it's over.
Thanks, Helen. Last of all, beautiful to see all these smiling faces for Mike. Beautiful shirts. You all look great in them. We were able to sell 500 of these shirts in less than a week. They went very quick, and the demand was great. It was a great idea, and it's Mike. He's still pissed. Yeah. So, let's raise our toast to Mr. Michael Curran, father of OTL, the leader of Ombach. A toast. Why is it so cold up here? Okay, Steve, you ready? Okay, we're gonna give him a hymn. Okay, we're gonna start it with a bless him. Okay, guys, follow along. You know what to do. Count it through. Hats off. Him, bless him. Okay, we got that over with. All right. We want everybody in South Mission, maybe Claremont, I don't care, but this is going to be one of the world records for a hymn for one person. I counted all the heads. Okay, count at 3, a real hymn. 1, 2, 3. Him! Fuck him! You didn't let me down. Thank you all. Thank you. Okay, now clean up your mess.